At this time, I'd like to call forward from the class of 1974, Mr. Keith TODARO.
In preparing for this, it dawned on me that I shouldn't need notes to introduce Michael Spence. I've known Mike for 65 years of my life. And I couldn't be prouder to be able to introduce him tonight. The foundational principles of this honorific require fulfillment in three primary areas of endeavor. And I believe Michael has done a yeoman's job of living up to that challenge in all three areas. First area is service to community. Let me tell you about Mike Spence. He began his career working at the Caddo Parish Court of Courts office in 1978. In 2000, Mike was named Chief Deputy Clerk of Court. Upon Gary Lofton's retirement in 2016, Mike won a parish-wide election and became the Clerk of Court for Caddo Parish. He was re-elected to that office in 2020, running unopposed, as is appropriate. Mike was recently honored by the Caddo Parish Commission, the Shreveport City Council, the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, and the Louisiana Clerks of Court Association for his 40 years of service to the courts and to the public. He currently serves on the Clerk of Courts State Association as Vice President. The second area is service to faith. Mike is a lifelong Roman Catholic, and I can attest to that because he and I were altar boys for Father O'Hanlon at St. Teresa's many years ago in our youth. He attended St. Teresa's Elementary School for all 8 years as required. He was married at St. Mary of the Pines Catholic Church by Monsignor Carson Lacaz to his beautiful wife, Terry. They have one daughter, Kelly Spence Snyder, who graduated from St. John's Cathedral School and Loyola College Prep. Mike also received the Diocesan Medal of Honor from the Bishop for his steadfast service during the transition and closing of Holy Rosary Parish. He served on the board of St. John's Cathedral School, and he was a volunteer coach at St. John's for the girls' basketball program during Kelly's tenure there. The third area of endeavor is service to Loyola, and this amazes me as a non-graduate. Mike's service to Loyola began in 2005 or thereabouts when he served as a volunteer assistant coach to the girls' softball program. Upon the head coach's retirement, he assumed the head coaching responsibilities and served in that capacity for 5 years. Subsequent to that, Mike served as a volunteer assistant head coach to the boys' baseball program for 7 years, all while holding down a full-time 50-hour-a-week job at the courthouse. Michael also went so far as to obtain a CDL license in order to transport the LCP's sports teams to games at a time when the school needed a driver for the big yellow taxi. I can see Mike in a big rig. He volunteered on career day, speaking to the law class, helping the next generation of legal minds understand the intricacies of the court system, and by golly, they need it. Mike is one of those rare human beings who understands the calling to both do well and to do good. His relentless dedication of time to this school, I believe, is both unique and remarkable. As you must see by now, Michael is truly a servant of the community, of his faith, and of Loyola College Prep. And I ask you to join me in welcoming this year's honorary inductee into the Hall of Honor, Mr. Michael Spence.
Well, I had a speech. They gave it for me, so I don't have to say too much. But as a politician, I have to say in 2 years I'll be running for election again. So the last group I spoke to and hopefully nobody here is part of that group, we the people. They said I've changed the election, that I've changed everything and the election was rigged. I will tell you tonight, the election was not rigged. So, with that, I'll kind of move on. First of all, I'd like to thank Johnny LeBlanc. Johnny, look at me. I've known Johnny since he played against me, and he could run 2 miles an hour. Now he can only run 1. But I appreciate all of the advice that you gave me when you weren't principal and when you were principal. It's hard as a boss to pick people to work for you. Not that I got paid, but you let me work for you. Yes, and I appreciate that. J.J. Marshall, this is a good man. I know he's in your hall, but he spends many hours at a baseball field that y'all don't know about. He does a lot for the program. He does a lot for baseball. He does a lot for Loyola. And the kids loved him. And JJ, thank you. You did a lot for us. Coach Laura Wolbert was the person that got me involved with Loyola coaching. And she's not here, but I will tell you, she's a great lady. She's an asset to Loyola. She got me involved, and I appreciated her. And she kept telling me, Mike, you want to be the coach one day? I said, well, no, I don't know. I got a full-time job. I didn't listen to myself. I just kept moving on and doing it. I've got to thank my wife, Terry. She put up with me from 1978 to now, coaching. At night, on weekends, all the time. So I love you and I appreciate you. Standing next to Coach Wells here, he tried to steal my best baseball player. I'll just let you know that. And I don't appreciate that, but I did beat you once. Yes. He knows who I'm talking about. There's another coach that taught me how to coach and how I got involved in coaching. His name was Gene Stevens. He was my American Legion coach. Some of you older players remember him from American Legion. I think it was Coca-Cola. Is that right, Hart? Did he coach Coca-Cola?
I think it was
K's Cookies. Yeah. But anyway, he was a great coach. And JJ knew him. I wasn't a very good ball player, but he told me always I was a great mind with baseball. And when I was 19 years old, he recommended me to coach American Legion baseball at Huntington. I was 19, they were 18. And if y'all know Herman's family members, I had many of them. And they were unique. I coached Mike Green. Mike kind of left Loyola to come play for me. It's because I was such a great coach, right? So Mr. Stevens got me involved with coaching, and I appreciate that. Coaching is a stress release for me. It releases stress. To coaches, it's stress. But all day long, I deal with courts, elections, anything involved with the court system. But when I left there and went to the field, it went away. And I just so much enjoyed coaching. From players like Mike, to my daughter, to all the people that I coached, such great kids. People ask me, what's so great about Loyola? I can tell you this. When you're in a dugout, especially as we all know baseball is a slow game. Slow. Practice lasts forever. So the conversations at Huntington were not the same conversations as Loyola. Nothing against Huntington, but the conversations were different. At Loyola, we talked about laws. What crimes can they commit, and if they do it, what's the sentence for them? Talked about the military. Noah Jones at this point, he's in the military right now, just got stationed in Japan. He calls me once a month. Once a month he calls me. It makes me feel good that somebody I've coached still calls me. The conversations were so unique. We talked about politics, why they were Republicans, why they were Democrats, why they wanted to vote this way, why their parents wanted to vote this way. In Huntington, the kids didn't even quite know who the president was. So it was so unique coaching at Loyola, and I enjoyed it so much. I got a lot more to say, but I think enough's been said. I appreciate it. It's nice to be here with people like Hart Adams, Tony Papa, my longtime friend T.J. Mandina, Janie.
Your long time.
Yes, yes, first grade. Yeah, talked to her on the phone every night. Actually, Larry Petite's sister was my bat girl at Huntington. Yes, I had a bat girl. I was way ahead of my time, I guess. So, for everybody, I appreciate it. For all those who wanted me here, thank you very much. It's an honor. Thank you.
71, Chuck SICARD.
Thank you. You know, when I thought, we were asked about, every year we ask, who can we nominate, who is deserving? And the one thought that always goes through my mind is time. Who has put in the effort and the time? Because you don't ever get time back. We're not gonna have this second back, we won't have it again. But this is a wonderful, wonderful time right now. And the other thought that comes to me is, and it was something that was drilled into me growing up, be better than the average. Don't be one in a number. Mark meets those two things outstanding. What Mark has done, he came in, I was president of the board when he came in, and actually had met his family first, met his sister Alice. Alice was one of the first women alumni board members. And that takes a lot of courage, because there's a bunch of guys in the room, and we're sitting there going, okay, how are we acting? But Mark comes in and steps in, and the first thing he does is say, okay, I'm going to take over from you and do the barbecue. And I was like, thank you. Art knows exactly, because he felt that way about me. And in doing that, though he didn't just stop there, we ended up having to move the barbecue, moves it to Loyola, and enhances it in doing so, makes it better. He then goes on and serves as a board member, such as secretary, vice president, president, treasurer, past president. All of those are full-time roles in and of themselves, but then turns around and puts together a shootout. Now, I tried once to do a fishing tournament, didn't wish it would have worked out, it did. But shootout has worked out. And what is so great about it is you're shooting, in my case, I'm shooting with my son and some other people, and they're really upset that I'm shooting, because I'm not that good. And they're out there, and you see, oh, this is the Loyola team shooting. Or here is, this past spring, we're shooting, and the other two people that were shooting with us, it was a father and his two sons, one of whom was at Airline, the other was an incoming freshman at Loyola. There's not another event in the city that you can do that and enjoy it and have fun, and it makes the school look great. And it's successful, and people walk away going, when's next year's event? The other thing that I really want to touch on about Mark, and this is, to me, very, very important, and it tells you what kind of person Mark is, and that's his involvement with Special Olympics. Special Olympics is, the thing with Special Olympics is you're giving people an opportunity to do something and be normal for a day, to be able to compete, which all of us do and have done and continue to do, but to compete in a way that's fun. Why you're all here, you're having a great time. He coached in the Challenger League. Coaching is challenging enough. We just heard that from Mr. Spence. The coaching special needs children is very challenging. And it is my pleasure, absolutely, to welcome and to introduce Mark Hart, because I think Mark Hart typifies what it means to be a member of the Hall of Honor. So I want to welcome you, Mark. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it. I've always enjoyed attending the Hall of Honor banquets over the last dozen years. It's a lasting example of our legacy to our school. Each year, I'm always impressed by the standing recognition of past honorees, because these are people that I look up to, not because of just their support for our school, but in church, in their place of business, in our community. These are exactly who we want representing our school, and these all have the characteristics of being a flyer. I'm blessed and honored to be standing on this stage, but in no way feel worthy. But just like our national elections, I was voted in, and y'all stuck with me. I'm humbled to be up here next to such successful men as Coach Wells and Mike Spence, who I've actually been hiding from since I was 18 years old, and somehow have avoided being selected for jury duty. I remember when I first joined the Alumni Association, I walked into the Anderson building, I saw a generation of men like Robert Pringle, Robert Pugh, Chuck SICARD, Ken Lurkey, DJ, and Bubba TODARO. And I was thinking, wow, how dedicated these guys are to a school that they graduated so many years ago. But now, finally, 12 years later, I just rolled off the board, so maybe I read the room wrong. But I'm going to talk about my love and appreciation for Loyola and how it's changed over the last 35 years. I thought that Loyola would be the safest school for me and my mouth to attend. I came to Loyola from St. Mark's with only 2 other guys. One lasted a couple months, and one is still a lifelong friend. I didn't know anyone, but I felt comfortable, maybe too comfortable at times. It wasn't just the occasional pickup basketball game in your boxer shorts, but the genuine camaraderie of the boys' club. You would think that freshman theology took place at the TikTok grill down the street at the Motor City Hotel, because Colby Mitchell and I ate there quite a bit during that first hour. Needless to say, my grades didn't impress anybody. But the next year I was a little more appreciative of Loyola. It's the year the girls were admitted. I knew that this was my only shot at getting a date. I was fortunate enough to meet my bride while at Loyola during our junior year. She had stayed at St. Vincent's until it closed and finally showed up at 921 Golden Street. I'll never forget the first time that I saw her sitting on the second floor against the lockers upstairs next to a buddy of mine. We went on the school close-up trip to Washington a few weeks later. I roomed with that same guy. I made my intentions known. I snagged a seat next to her on the plane ride home. I've been blessed with her by my side ever since. As the year went on, this beautiful girl had some stipulations: tighten up, work hard, set goals for the future, but that's all it took. Thanks to teachers who cared and gave me extra hours of instructions, I did find the goal. I knew exactly what my career would be my junior year of high school. I spent countless hours with Coach Mulmoney before school trying to figure out algebra, trig, and geometry. And unfortunately, a bunch of hours after school during PH those first 2 years. Sometimes we fail to see and understand the blessings in our lives. One of those blessings I took for granted at that time was Loyola. I had no idea how much I learned at Loyola and how much it did prepare me for college until I got there. Classes were familiar, subject matter was a review. But then I didn't think much about Loyola, following PT school and working as a young adult. That is, until my daughter had to choose a high school. However, she didn't have a choice. I knew that the Catholic teachings at Loyola would bridge my own shortcomings of promoting faith in our family during those years. And I knew in my heart that she would get the best education with the best teachers who truly cared and went above and beyond their job duties. However, there was a small problem. she had zero desire to go to Loyola. I remember JJ leapfrogging at the front of the line to grab Lily's folder for her entrance interview, thinking this one's going to be a piece of cake. I joined the Alumni Association the year before to show her how much the school did mean to me. He probably didn't even notice that she wore a rival school sweatshirt to her entrance interview. We went to a classroom on the first floor. JJ sat down open with, "This is only going to take a minute. So Lily, tell me why you want to go to Loyola." She looked him dead in the eye and said, "I don't want to go here. My parents are making it." Principal Frank Israel at the time, and Glad Alexander, even called me to work the next week and said, "Loyola might not be the best place to live." But I explained that she didn't have a choice. It was my parental decision she attend Loyola, and Lily will tell you that it was a very good decision. For that, I am most appreciative. When I attended my first alumni board meeting, Kristen Bernard was the only person I knew. Now I've made some of my best friends working on this board, and I am forever grateful. My first year on the board was an influx of new people, new ideas, and new drive. The last dozen years, the Flyer Alumni Association has expanded its outreach and fundraising and fellowship. We've been able to give more back to the school while keeping our fundraising priority of alumni scholarships. We've been blessed with members that have started numerous programs on their own. The Snoopy Open is our tennis tournament, started by Andrew Kringle. Speckman started the advisory committee so we can keep the men and women who have passed served on the board involved. Their knowledge invaluable. Rebecca Kress started the teacher grant program, which allowed us to focus on specific teachers and classrooms. The after-hours get-togethers and homecoming tailgate parties helped us keep in touch with alumni throughout the year. And I was able to start the Snoopy Shootout sporting place tournament 7 years ago, which does remain a fun and successful fundraiser. By the way, mark the calendar for March 14th for the 8th annual, and let me know if you want to be a sponsor. Johnny says it never hurts to ask. I'm proud of attending a school that has meant a lot to my family since my father's time at Jesuit. 9 total family members have attended. My father, his 5 children, my wife Debbie, my sister-in-law Heather, who was also a high school sweetheart with my brother John, and finally my daughter Lily. Only 2 of those were asked to leave school before graduating. But if we throw in the honorary diploma that Art Adams and Tony Papa printed out and gave my dad a few years ago, our family graduation rate does improve to a respectable 89%. As you can tell, Loyola absolutely saved my family, my faith, my career, and my friends. Thank you to my parents for sacrificing and sending me to Loyola, and my brother and my sister to Loyola. Thank you to the members of the Hall of Honor and the Flyer Alumni Association for this recognition and vote of confidence. I will continue to help and support Loyola any way I can. I wholeheartedly believe that Loyola is fulfilling its mission to create men and women of conscious character and compassion, continuing the Jesuit Catholic tradition of discipline, academic excellence, student involvement, and faith in action for the greater glory of God. Thank you.
Now to introduce our next inductee is John LeBlanc.
That's going to be a little hard to follow up, because everything I had to say was in there. I know. I just want to share some stuff that I'm going to read, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Coach Wells, 1983 to 1986, 75 and 28 at Loyola, 40 and 8 in district, 2 state finalists. Awesome. Coach Wells of Northwestern. Northwestern had a winning season in 13 years. His first year there, he won 20 games. Then he ended up going 192 and 89 in 5 seasons, winning 3 Southland Conference championships, to take the Demons to the regional finals and NCAA regionals in 91 and 94. Gets the job at Alabama. Glad Saban went there, man. Led the Tide to the College World Series in the second year, National Coach of the Year in 1997. Winningest coach in Alabama history. Was
625 and 322 in 15 seasons at Alabama. The 7th winningest coach in South Conference history. Won 2 SEC regular season crowns, 6 SEC tournament titles, and took the Tide to 12 regional appearances and 4 NCAA regional championships and to the College World Series 3 times. Overall, in 20 seasons as a Division I head coach, his record was 817 and 411. Took 15 of his 20 teams in the NCAA to the NCAA regionals. Unbelievable, 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 and he's ours. Bossier City, Loyola College Prep, Jesuit High School, he's ours. We're so proud of those accomplishments. Now I'm going to tell you the things you don't want to know. I can't tell you the whole story, but the first time I met Coach was I was working at the swim club, and he was friends with Ed McFadder, who dated my sister, who Coach hated, and that's according to my sister. And so I made a snide comment. He walks in, drives up, and parks in the no parking lane. He goes, "I need to see Ed McFadder." I go, "You did?" So I make a very bad comment on the microphone, and Ed's about 6'6". I see Ed strolling up the walkway from the caboose, which is where they sold the beer, which is where he probably had one. And he walks up, and Ed starts smiling. And I'm thinking, what's he smiling about? And Ed goes, "Hey, Johnny, I'd like to introduce you to your new baseball coach, Jim Wells." And I'm thinking, not good. Not good at all. You know, when Mike and them on the video and Jeff talked about practice, I remember the first time we had practice and on a Saturday, and he told us on Friday evening, he says, "Guys, y'all need to bring a lunch." And we were thinking, what's he talking about? Really? Seriously? So we go to Benny, Virginia at 8 o'clock. Noon comes, he goes, "Y'all go get your lunches." And we're like, "What are you bringing?" And then we practice till 6. So, you know, the other thing I don't want to say about him, but he probably didn't have to drive the bus in college, but he had to drive the van of champions when he coached us. And we played a tough game in Minden, and Green threw a tough curveball that happened to go over the backstop. And he was not happy, and we barely got in the van, it was moving. And then we get on I-20, he goes, "Give me the book." And I give him the book, and I'm sitting in the front seat. He's going about 85. Looking at the book, and I have to steer him. I was like, "Coach, you're going about 85. You got to slow down." So, and I think somebody went back and played Boogie in the Blood. But the other thing I would tell you is that I was lucky enough that Coach had left and came to LSU to work for Coach Bergman, and we ended up being classmates. Dr. Irabaz. His favorite word was kitties. And that's just funny to us because he was saying cavities. He was a Turkish doctor and he really couldn't say it right. And so we would make fun about that. So anyway, but in all seriousness, here's what I'll tell you, is that I was lucky enough to play for him. And you know, I played for 2 great coaches. I played for Coach Capides, played for him. And you know, when you get fortunate enough to be able to coach, you emulate who you believe in. And everything that I did as a baseball coach, I emulated Coach. He reaffirms the word commitment, dedication, preparation, and family. Because we were a family. And, you know, our baseball program was unbelievable. We were lucky. We loved each other. But we were also lucky to be led by a guy, even when he was single. You know? And lived right down the street, by the way. He lived on Jordan Street at the apartments. That little duplex right there. I would honk when I drove by because his car was there. You needed to get to class. But all that being said, you know, it's at some point in this relationship, it goes from being a coach that I looked up to, well, a guy that told me I was never going to play for him, and then my coach, and then ends up being a mentor and a friend, and has always been a friend of Loyola. And I am very, very lucky to have had him in my life. And I think the testament to what you've done for our school is here by the fact that we have all these guys, and you were only there for a short time, but you made a difference in all these lives, and we are certainly lucky to have you. I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm glad you can make it, and I just love you, Coach, and welcome.
You know, they use up my speech, but I'll come up with some other stuff about you guys. You know, the bad stuff Johnny's saying, and none of that happened. All right, I want to thank John Marshall and Johnny LeBlanc and all those other folks that are responsible for this evening. Let me tell you about Johnny real quick, and it's going to run over 5 minutes. But we're playing, it was early May, maybe late April, 1983, Saturday afternoon. The opponent was Abbeville. They had their ace on the mound, Fly Fleming. Right or left? Left-hander. Left. I don't remember the exact score, but it was a close game. And Johnny LeBlanc, for some reason I remember his at bat. He's up, he's having a good at bat. He's taking balls, he's fouling off tough edges, he's working the count. And then all of a sudden I noticed he did something he hadn't done before. He choked up more on the back. And then he started fouling the ball straight back, meaning he was timing that pitch. And I'm going, something good may happen. Sure enough, boom, well hit, ball deep, right? Going, gone. Defeat Fly Fleming. And head to the semis on our way to the state finals. So John, he's more than just a principal. All right, I have 2 tours at Jesuit Loyola. One is a student and one is a teacher, and I describe them both as, I had a lot of fun. Had a lot of good teachers there. Father Roy, remember him? We had him go Latin, English. He liked the Beatles. He used to talk about McCartney and Lennon. I said, that's pretty cool. We're talking about the Beatles in this place. Father Horseman, the guys that remember him, he taught chemistry and speech. Great teacher. I struggled in both because I couldn't get chemistry. And you couldn't understand the word he said in speech. He gargled or coughed every other breath. Great guy. Mr. Johnson, he was our physics teacher and wore many hats. He was there when I came back to teach. And prefect of discipline, he didn't want to be in Pensacola. Huge forearm. Like Steve Garvey, Popeye. Coach Nada, who coached us, he came back while I was still there. A guy that kind of had a impact on my life was a guy that wasn't there long, Carl Hardy. Carl was different. He dressed it out in football practice one day, full pads. And we all weighed about 150 pounds, and this guy played at Auburn. He wasn't on the team. He played for Auburn. And, he could have hurt us, but he chose not to. But I don't know. In American history class, we watched video of him playing in Japan in high school in Auburn. He did teach history. Because he was a good teacher. I know him from football mainly. Had a great sense of humor. We had this thing called a Smitty Blaster, and you would, you'd have to fight through it and then turn your head and catch a pass from Hardy. And he would just pick out guys, and they would fight through it, and before they could turn their head, he'd throw the football right in their ear hole. He enjoyed that. He encouraged you, I remember that. He instilled confidence in you when others may not, or you didn't have it yourself. He's a great motivator. Like all the coaches did a great job. He'd come down pre-game, he's sweating, telling, hey man, can you smell it? And we're going, what the hell's going on? The smell of victory is in the air. Then he'd throw a blocking dummy and knock some kid out. And man, I liked him. He liked to be called Coach Cheese. He was different. It's funny. I tried to keep in touch with him through the year. He ended up training Arabian horses. Was trying to get back into coaching. And of all things, he ends up in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, at the end of his life. He was there dealing with horses. That's what he was doing, and there was connection. So I was with him there in the last days. Spent a lot of quality time with him. Did his eulogy, and he's up there in Tuscaloosa, but he was kind of my guy. Another guy that I really grew, more so as a teacher and a coach, is Coach Disco. Really grew close to him. Man, I like Coach. Really really loved him. He was a good mentor, helped me a lot, you know, when I was teaching there, supported us, went on the trips with the baseball team, and, you know, to Bogalusa, he had as much fun as anybody, you know. And then, you know, he was AD, and I remember Friday nights, his job was to bring chips, salsa, strawberry pie, and beer, you know, up to the office. And, you know, there were some lean years when I coached there in football. And around the middle of the third quarter, I'd start thinking about that stuff, you know. But, you know, I was very appreciative of getting the job. Corky Cummings is, he got me the job at Loyola, because I don't know if they'd have hired me. But I've always been appreciative of that. You know, he talked me up. And, you know, I had to go through the deals, but Mr. Ernst was the principal. And I have one interesting story on him. I got called into the office my second year. But that's never good, you know. So, you know, I go and I see him and he goes, "Hey, Jim, you know, we're having a nice conversation." And he goes, "Jim, listen, I have a question." I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "Let me ask you something. What do you enjoy more, teaching American history or coaching baseball?" And I thought for a moment. I said, "Well, is this a trick question? Are we having an open, honest discussion here? Should I say what he wants me to say, or should I just go for it?" And I went for it. And I said, "I gotta tell you, Mr. Ernst, I enjoy coaching more than teaching American history." And I found out soon after that was not the correct answer. But I am very grateful that the administration allowed me to stay there a little longer. Listen, the faculty, you know, that like students, faculties, I still have friends from, especially the football staff. There are a lot of guys that came through, and we still keep in touch today. Ray Richards and Steve Barnes and folks like that. You know, like you said, I like football and what was said there, but baseball was the thing, and those players there, that was the love. I know I was supposed to love everything, and I did like everything, but I really loved that. And we, so many stories and so many good kids and tough kids. And one thing I remember, we always had the battles with Minden, and maybe they still do now, I don't know. And Minden was kind of a thorn in our side. We were real good, but so were they. We finally got them in '86, though.
Yes, sir.
What the hell?
Yes, sir. 10-0.
Yeah, there you go.
And we had to run 40 sprints the next day after we won district.
Now, that's not true.
That's Spar Stadium code.
Well, anyway, Minden, it's kind of like when I was a Dallas Cowboy fan in the '60s, couldn't beat the Packers, so it, kind of gets in your head. So Minden bothered me, but I've let it go. 40 years have passed, so I don't dwell on that. But through the years, I did a little research on Minden, and something, just a little fact, since I did it, why waste it to just myself. But I found out that Minden in Indian means trailer park. So many memories, like I wanted to say the Wasserman deal. I remember going to the stands at Wasserman for some reason. Shouldn't have done that. I had a bat in my hands, and I looked behind me, and Mike Green was right there. And he was ready to go. And we talked about. And
It was Mike Green.
Mike Green.
It was Mike.
But and the Twins and all the guys that came over from Lozier. I know we're not supposed to say we recruited on the statute of limitations. But Andy Davis, what a great hitter. And of course, one of my favorite, Wojcicki and the lap where we left him out. Anyway, real quick, it was the best job I ever had coaching baseball. It was the greatest. And people would say, really? I said, yeah, it was the best. And, but I tell you something that kind of helped me realize how good it was. Is my last year at Alabama, we're playing a Tuesday, Wednesday game. An in-state rival, they're throwing their ace. You got your number 7 guy on the mound. They're trying to beat you, they're trying to hold on. And I got a young guy on the mound, he's struggling. And he's throwing a few too many balls, he's walking a few too many. The defense is on their heels, they hit a ball, we make an air, crowd's starting to get restless, starting to murmur, starting to boo. So I call timeout. I go out to my young guy on the mound and say, hey, listen, Bobby, this guy's hitting 178, he's the age-old leader. Go at him with your best fastball, split the plate 3 times, and get us back in the dugout, do the best. He goes, all right, coach. And I said, hey, by the way, listen, this is a good time to focus on what you got to do right now. To forget this outside noise, disregard the boos. Pat him on the butt and started going back. He goes, hey, coach. I went, yeah, Bob. He goes, they're not booing me. They're booing you. They're putting me in this game. And lastly, again, like I was always so proud of Jesuit and being there and being a teacher at Loyola, and I did all those things that are on the video. Yeah, I mean that. It was real, and it was the best time of my life. And I'll end it with this, because we need to end on a joke. We want to hear one more and we'll go. You know, my wife and I just celebrated our 36th wedding anniversary. And, you know, I sell for a wife when their husband does what I used to do. You know, because everybody's in the business and, you know, don't have a regular job. Everybody's grading you every day of your life. But anyway, people say, how do you keep the magic going? I said, I got something for you. Years back, we said, we decided to take 2 nights a week for ourselves to get away from the madness. And it's worked out beautifully. We've taken 2 nights for dining and dancing. And I'd recommend it to everyone here. I go out to eat on Tuesdays. Listen, God bless you.
Tomorrow night, the official induction will take place at halftime of the Loyola-Bossier game. Those of you who don't know, the halftime might be about 10:30 at night, because that's going to take a while. It's going to be a lot of points scored, we think. Unless Coach Green, you can find that defense out there and keep them in the check. They're counting on you. But our 3 inductees will be inducted at halftime. We invite all the Hall of Honor members to join us on the field during the induction. And we'll say nice things about them over the public address system. Coach Wells is going to be one of our honorary captains, and he'll probably give some fire and brimstone speech to Coach Green's team before they go hit the field. Or maybe he's telling a joke, so we'll see. But also want to thank, once again, I want to thank Jordan Harris, Jessica Ray, and Jessica Smith, who put all this together pretty much, just kind of did everything. Okay, well, that's it. I would tell all of you, if you haven't met the 3 of them, if you have any contact with Loyola, you need to get to know them because they can handle truly anything that you need. And I will also say on a personal note that I get to take your daughter to work day every day because Jordan is my daughter. So, and as Coach LeBlanc and I say, she's also our boss. So that's. We want to thank all of you for coming tonight. This is a special night. When this is all we kind of put this together, I thought, okay, when it's over with, maybe East Ridge will kick us out about midnight, because I know y'all got a lot of stuff still you want to talk about. So feel free to stay almost as long as you want. I'm always reminded to tell you, ladies or gentlemen, the stuff in the middle of the room that I don't know what they are, middle of the tables, that's yours if you want it. Yeah, those 2. We pay for them, and I'm not taking them home, so y'all can take them home. Feel free. And that's it. I think I want to appreciate everybody for coming, and good night.